So let's see here. What's been going on with you, man? You've been playing anything lately?
Yeah, I've still been plugging away with Demon Souls. Tom and I have reignited our Sunday morning
Mm.
sessions, and those have been a lot of fun. We've had plenty of laughs as usual, and a lot of Tom and Will moments, as we like to kind of coin them. And yeah, we've been progressing quite well, and it's been
Mm.
a lot of fun, man. I mean, that game is just extraordinary. What they did with this remake still impresses me, and the more time I spend with it, the more I realize that this is a very, very special remake.
Mm.
Not just a PS5 game, but just a remake in as a whole. And the attention to detail compared to what we saw in the 2009 version of Demon Souls on PS3 compared to what we have now. I
Mm.
mean, it's just night and day. This is a different experience altogether, and in a lot of ways, it's almost like a different game.
So what about this in particular sets it apart from the original? Because like
I
from somebody that's never played Demon Souls, like how would you define the difference between the two?
Sure. I mean, I think Demon Souls obviously started it all, uh, and with the PS3 version, it basically it operates well and it still looks good to this day. But with the remake, not only did they build this game from the ground up, they added new features, they added new sounds and effects, and it honestly feels like a new Souls game altogether. And this is something that Tom mentioned because I said to him on Sunday, I was like, "Hey man, like we never really talked about this. This is a beloved game of ours. How do you feel about this remake as a whole?" And he's like, "Dude, I feel like it's a new Souls game."
Mm.
And it was just kind of a blanketed statement, but when I thought about it, I was like, you're right. This is way more than just a remaster or remake. It's just a whole different experience. And there's so much that's familiar, but there's also so much that is just totally enhanced. Like the music in the Nexus, which is your main hub, is completely different. It's not
Mm.
even the same. Like there are some cues that are similar, but there's so much that they just completely redid, and I'm becoming more familiar with that as I continue with the playthrough with Tom, as well as my new solo playthrough that I started out of just sheer desire to be able to experience this game on my own. Because when
Mm.
you're playing with somebody, you don't have the time to stop and stare. And
Right.
that's something that I like to do. And with this game, you want to be able to soak it in on your own watch and not somebody else's. And when I play with Tom, he runs all over the place. So it doesn't give me a chance to stop and, make sure that every stone is unturned.
So last week when you were talking about this, you had mentioned that you were exploring a different character class. Have you continued doing that?
Yes, very much so. So I'm still a mage. We're still melting dudes with magic. And I decided to do that on my solo playthrough. I picked the same build that we've been building on our
Mm.
co-op sessions, and it's been lovely
Really?
just to be able to walk around and take out my little catalyst and just soul spear dudes. It's a new experience for me, and I think that's making the game sort of wholly new and organic for me because I'm
Mm.
so used to a sword and board setup as a knight. To be able to transition into a magic build that I'm so unfamiliar with is just, well, it's refreshing.
What are some of the character classes outside of a magic build and a warrior build?
Yeah, so you have warrior, you have knight, you have cleric, I believe, which is a form of a mage. You have a traditional royal magician, which is, I think, what I chose on my solo playthrough. You also have, I think it's like barbarian or naked or something, where you basically just, I think you're like literally wearing like a, no, deprived, I think is the name of the class, and you're wearing like a set of diapers and you just have like a club. I think that might just be Dark Souls 1, but I'm trying to remember now all the classes. I think there's
Well,
also,
I know that
oh
they
man,
they do some crazy shit with like trying to get you to play it on the hardest difficulty with like starting out bare bones. So maybe it's one of those.
could be. But yeah, that's all I can think of at the moment. I know there's more, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter because you can reallocate your stats, really whenever you gain souls in the game. So if I
Mm.
chose a knight or if I chose a mage, I can revert to a different class once I gather souls and I can start investing them into new categories.
It's fascinating. Yeah, I know like absolutely nothing about Demon Souls. I've sampled Dark Souls.
Hmm.
One I don't I think it was the first one. I have it Games of Gold on the Xbox. So yeah, I don't know, man. It just It's fascinating to me and terrifying at the same time, and something I want absolutely no part of. But I'm glad it brings you such joy.
Yeah, my history is unique because at the time I was playing Skyrim, and that's when Dark Souls 1 came out. I believe it was also 2011. And I think that's when I started my journey with Demon Souls, as I started with that first, and it was a friend of a friend that
Mm,
basically egged me on to try it, and I did. And the game was just really cheap at the time because it was out for a while. And that was my entry point, was
mm,
Demon Souls for PS3. And at first I didn't really like it, but I stuck it out, and I kind of followed his lead, quite literally, playing co-op with him. And I just fell in love with the atmosphere of that game because it's a very dark, brooding, atmospheric game full of fog and can't see shit, and it's just very kind of
right.
ethereal. And I was really drawn into that sort of universe. And once I was sold on that, I had to go to Dark Souls, and the rest is history. And I just
Mm,
fell in love with the series. I mean, don't get me wrong, the difficulty is, tough as nails, and it'll make you want to cry and quit gaming forever, but
mm.
there's something that keeps people coming back, and I think it's that sort of classic challenge that is so hard to find in modern games.
In the Twitch chat, Saikoro brings up a very good point. All the things that you ended up loving, are usually initially hated by players. Do you feel that to be
Mm.
true?
I would say so. I mean, I think most people know that I'm kind of a unique gamer in the sense that I'm very drawn into visual appearance of games and atmosphere and art style and things that some people just kind of glaze over, and to them it's more about gameplay. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely about gameplay, but I like to be immersed in a game's universe. And I think with Demon Souls, I fell in love with this sort of ethereal, medieval kind of atmosphere that you're presented with, and I just liked it. It's kind of like a different world, very sort of similar to Skyrim, but darker. Because Skyrim could be dark, but it's more of a brighter experience, and you
Mm,
feel like a real hero. And in Demon Souls, you feel like a lost soul, no pun intended. That is, you know, you're this sort of like soul depraved hero that's trying to save the world from demons, and it's
mm,
just a much darker storyline.
mm.
And I guess I was just drawn into that, man. I think a lot of that's just based on my history with books, like scary stories to tell in the dark, and just kind of those sort of darker aspects of my childhood. Kind
Mm.
of brought me into liking this sort of concept.
Right. Very cool, man. I'm glad that you're kind of finding new ways to rediscover the game.
Yeah. Well, I felt like, this solo playthrough was the right thing to do. I didn't initially want to do it because it's a lot to handle when I'm already trying to get to other games and play this every Sunday. And remembering what to do is kind of a challenge because every time we load it up on Sunday, we're trying to figure out like what archstone we have to go to next and what world that we're on, whether it's mine or Tom's.
Right.
And with the solo playthrough, I was able to just take my time in discovering things like performance mode
Mm-hmm.
versus cinematic mode, which is two different modes that you can turn on or off on the PS5 version of this game. Well, it is the only version of the game. But anyway,
Mm.
a lot of these PS5 games, they're introducing different modes that you could turn on or off for higher fidelity experiences. And with performance mode, it's quite literally a better performance mode. When I turned on cinematic mode, I felt like it just didn't run that well. And it's probably because I didn't have a 4K TV, because it just felt like it was very, I don't know. Like it looked more real, but it was like a little bit laggy. And I read online that it's more for folks that want to take advantage of photo mode.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really dabble with it too much. I just kind of ran around. I was like, this doesn't seem like it's running well, so I turned it off.
Yeah.
And then I also experienced the game on a headset, of course, as well as on the soundbar. And both experiences are pretty spectacular. Like I actually had my headset die on Sunday.
Okay.
I think it was on Sunday, and all of a sudden, of course, the sound bar kicked on, and it was like a goddamn movie theater in the house. I was like, "Holy shit!" And this is not the first time this has happened. This happened once when I was playing Warzone, Call
Mm-hmm.
of Duty Warzone, and I remember Lauren came out of the bedroom. She was like, "Oh my word!" Because it was like literally like IMAX Dark Knight Rises plane scene, like loud. And I was like,
Wow.
Jesus Christ. And that's what happens because when my headset dies, it's a Bluetooth headset. So the dongle turns off that's plugged in. And then all of a sudden the soundbar just kicks on. and it was already at a loud volume. So that happened with Demon Souls, and
Yeah.
my God, man, it's just a loud game.
That's crazy. That's absolutely wild. So the headset that you're using, like, does that have like a internal battery that you need to charge? Like, what the hell is going on with that?
Yeah, so I'm running a Turtle Beach Stealth 600
Okay.
first gen, which is an excellent headset. Runs off of a little USB dongle that you plug into the PS4 or PS5 via USB,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess it's kind of Bluetooth or whatever, and yeah, it runs off of an internal battery, and that battery lasts for X hours, and then after it's dead, you got to charge it. So
Do you get any
I kept
warnings?
you do, but the cable that I have is about this long.
Uh,
So when I told Tom that my headset was going to die, and he's like, "Just plug it in," I'm like, "No, dude, you don't understand. The cable is like literally a foot long,
mm,
and I'm sitting on the couch, which is probably like 10 feet away from the PS5.
yeah.
So I had to actually communicate to him through the controller, which is something that I've not really done very often. And it's really weird because you have to play with the controller like this. So I'll be like, I'm over here now.
Wait. So like hold on. The controller has like a motion sensor in there that like translates to your character. Is that what's happening?